Ganon gives even more fuel for the haters, and I'm not talking about his latest victory. While the PDGA decides to clap back on a bellowing Brody and a little bit more this week in disc golf. How's it going, disc-generates, and welcome back to the channel. That goes for all of you, even the ones currently questioning how they found themselves back here. For the ones who don't know, I'm Swiss for short, still with those holes, but also with the disc golf world. You guys know, we're that one disc golf YouTube channel that even surprises ourselves at times with what we say. But everyone always returns because we pack as much as the other guys in a fraction of the time. And you guys are watching This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week, which was filled with more surprises than just that odd finish at the Northwestern Championship. Which, if you lived under a rock and you still need a recap, just swing over to our Monday vid for even more of the detailed drama. Gannon went and said the quiet part out loud. And funny enough, the dgpt actually approved your boy's media passes. Yes, you heard me correctly, as we hit the road once again, this time overseas in Finland for the World Championship. Now let's get back to Gannon, who leaves a trail of time violation comments on coverage at every event, who also ruffled more feathers with his comments on staggered stance.
I don't feel like you're someone's going to call someone regardless. I would never call anybody just because I don't think nothing, in my opinion, has an advantage. Like, that's how I look at it. That's how 90% of the pros look at it, is especially like football rules. Like, the football, it gives you no advantage at all whatsoever. I will never really call anybody because then I'll just get crap for it. So, like, me as a player, I'll never call anyone even if they break any rule in the game, just because I know I'll probably get targeted back, if I do end up doing that. I've never called a rules violation in my life, and I've seen so many. And that's just the problem with the rule in the marshals and the players not calling it. It's just the problem. It's all just a problem that no one's saying anything. And it's not that I'm trying to abuse the rule.
Keep in mind, that's the current #1, still considered the future of the sport. Dropping that opinion is not just a habitual offender with a differing viewpoint, but one of the more prolific names in the sport who's going public with the opinions and norms of many of the current players, even if you want to try to downplay it. Pros are the ones faced with the brunt of the stopwatch scrutiny from the public, sacrificed to poor coverage practices and commentary if they ever go over time, then expected to govern themselves, call rules violations not only on other players, but also themselves despite marshals being on some of the cards. Toss in the new PDGA rule changes swirling around the community, an actual pro voice of Ganon statures unaffiliated with the player committee needed to be heard even if it wasn't what most of you wanted to hear, which is the unwritten rule of swallowing the whistle on rule violation calls that most players practice currently while on the course, especially the newer players all belonging to the modern era. And whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it's still happening, and we witnessed it ourselves while on tour. All this is creating a growing divide between player, fan, PDGA, and the dgpt for that matter, one that each party is becoming more and more vocal about. On one side, you have many people concerned with the optics of the play, and ultimately, the product itself. While players, or the product if we're being honest, is more concerned with the next shot and dollars that will be impacted by it. Is that not what we want all our pros to be doing during a competition? Creating the best product possible? Gannon and other pros past and present, and yes, I'm talking about Brody here, are getting much louder about demanding the marshals, and the PDGA for that matter, to actually make calls at the events. Or how Brody likes to scream, "Do your job!" And though Gannon may have been slightly more diplomatic, still delivered as strong of a response while on Brody and Yuli's podcast, The Tour Life.
The fix is the marshals doing their job. That's the fix.
The young standout taking as strong of a position as he has in a field of others who are afraid to do so should be celebrated or at the very least acknowledged, opening the door now for other pros to be just as vocal, some already doing so on the very same podcast as Holland dove in also.
I just don't see how putting a specific time limit on every shot is ever practically going to be enforced in any way that's fair. Because, like, I'm not going to call someone on it unless I've actually timed it. And, like, I don't think it's fair for me to only sometimes time a person and, like, not time other shots. So, like, what you're really asking us to do is, like, time every shot, which I just don't think is practical. Like, when someone else is throwing, I don't want to be, staring at my stopwatch on them. I want to be, like, getting my disc out, getting my Bushnell out, getting ready for my shot. And I think that attitude towards it actually would speed up play more than everybody timing each other.
The real issue our sport currently finds itself is our problems have outgrown any possible solution at the moment disc golf currently finds itself, as these talks, debates, and solutions have no true end in sight. and more evident than ever before. So much so, the Pro Disc Golf Association can't remain silent. The recently minted director of competition, Phil Deloney, delivered a dark horse rebuttal to Brody's yelling that also happened this week, asking to be both on the pod and, funny enough, allow Yuli to speak. Certainly not an uncommon thought for most viewers of the podcast. But also went as far to say extensions will change the culture of the sport, referencing the newest proposal change, further displaying the shift of approach the PDGA has been displaying all year. And though I personally have been critical of a number of the governing body's decisions this year, I can get behind this one. And no, I'm not agreeing on this changing the culture. Gannon went and disproved that already. But I can agree with the PDGA defending it in this post and what many hope to be a future appearance on the podcast. In what is probably a more productive method, certainly one with more views than the exclusive interviews and discussion the PDGA members conducted on prior podcasts. Moves like this one and a more active PDGA presence on social media hopefully engages the members not only in the comments sections on these proposals, but with the upcoming elections also. Also this week, Disc Golf Action swings back over to Europe for the Ale Open. The scenic track is one of the best in the world and looks like what my deep lucid disc golf dreams might look like. Minus cupcake riding a tricycle as my caddy and certainly with far less bogeys. Despite rainy conditions, the action continues. The ladies wrapped up round 1 and yes, Kristen Lott is in the lead, but there's a lot more talk surrounding the Swedish 13-year-old Julia Force. Deservedly so, as she finished day 1 only a stroke behind Kristen at 4 under and only 3 points off a 1,000 rated round, who's just coming off a top 10 finish in only her 3rd Elite Series event of her short career at the Kona Peach Day Open and a win at a Q Series event the very next weekend. That has her currently sitting 3rd in DGBT Europe points ahead of some of the biggest names currently in the FPO, who now finds herself on lead card for moving day of Ale. One thing's for sure at these European stop is the young talent pool that's being on display, which will only further grow the status of the European Tour, as the new DGBT Europe is only in its first year with a unified tour. Now, let's get to a few quick hitters, because most pros headed home during the off week. Vinny celebrated a birthday by rocking with Bradley, and we can't forget New Zealand pro Levi Stout celebrating one also. Kat takes her new album picture as she tried her hand at being a musician on her socials. Brian Earhart caught a dub at a C-tier in Charlotte, only cause Yuli wasn't around though. Paige got to fangirl when she met a band member of Billy Strings at the airport. Rathbun got in a wreck, but everyone's okay. Kristen adds another shoe sponsor into an already crowded market, while Nicholas was out there representing her new clothing line. Hannah and Clemens grabbed some drinks and oddities, Aiden Scott was chosen to be a new father, and Cole hit the links. And guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. Shout out to those of you on the Patreon and all of you who have currently stayed this long for me to thank you. And like always, if you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share.